introduction. So my name is Evgenia. For those who don't know me, I'm an artist based in Portugal, and I'm also founder of the project Eternal Forest. Eternal Forest is creating a network of Eternal Forest Sanctuaries through art, ecology, and community around the world, with first ones already emerging in Portugal. Today, we have a really beautiful project on board, and I'm going to do introduction slightly later. And when we were preparing this event, I was thinking how to introduce the artist and the work that we're going to see today and connect it with my own artwork. And I prepared a poem for you that I wrote back in 2018, starting the cycle of work on Eternal Forest. This poem is connected with the subject of reciprocity, connectivity, flux, flow in nature that we are also part of. And of course, it's connected with water and forests. So here we go. I soar between ridges of mountains, vast expanse, valley after valley. Streams come down from all directions, unstoppable flow, meandering, eternal forest. Everything is motion. My gaze connects all. My ears hear continuity of sound. Life is never quiet. Beyond time, I see no borders. Every living being is essential. The future is mutual. We must imagine 1,000 years. It is a slow turning. So with this, welcome to Eternal Forest Conversations that explore ideas, questions, and themes around Eternal Forest Project, creating collaborations, partnerships, and building our growing international community. This project is a multidisciplinary art project that is hoping to transform our relationship with nature, sacred, time, biodiversity, to create 1,000 eternal forest sanctuaries throughout the world and to help protect them for 1,000 years through generations. I would like to give you just a super quick update what happened in the last couple of months. Some of you might have noticed we didn't have an event in June because I was traveling. And actually I was attending certain places where there's a hope that there will be eternal forest sanctuaries emerging. Right now we are still creating, it's a very slow process, but we are creating first sanctuaries in Portugal, but at the same time we are expanding this network to try to include more locations where people are taking active role, active position on this journey of creating protected forest spaces. So I've been in France and I've been in Poland, and in both locations we managed to identify not just one, but maybe actually several locations and several persons who are happy to take this work on board and forward. And with this, what I wanted to say is, my hope is that in the next few months, we will be able to start a co-creative network that actually supports such initiatives and that gives support, well, mutual support to the people who are driving these processes in various locations. And right now I can tell you that already I can map that this network is very international. It's across several continents. And I believe that such setting would benefit these people and benefit their communities through continuous and regular exchange of wisdom, practices, learnings, mistakes, what's working, what's not, how to get funding, how to find land, how to deal with certain challenges, but also how to see those challenges as opportunities and how to start flowing not just locally, but also globally. So we are developing various projects that are not necessarily limited to any kind of type of land ownership. We work with public land, municipalities, private land. We work with different foundations, and also conservation and rewilding initiatives. So I'm just opening for you a little bit of picture. If you hear anybody or anything that's slightly interested in having their own protected forest sanctuary, we can talk. The only ask is that this place will become a hotspot, ideally for biodiversity, and will be protected in the long term, with the focus not on production and kind of idea of sustainable forest for the human consumption, but more going for all the benefits that it has for the wilderness. It will have benefits for us, but in a much more intangible way, more through cultural activities, artistic experiences, and various contemplative practices where we actually learn from forest and learn from nature through deep ecology practices and contemplation, rather than go there with a focus of harvest. So if you are interested to hear more how you can contribute, or how other people around you can contribute, if you have land or if you know of certain organizations, I will be sharing with you right now some links, and you can follow the project already today, and you can sign up, and you can basically send me direct email if there is something you want to talk about. So here we go, you can save it for later. Now back to our conversations. I just wanted to acknowledge that two artists, Ackroyd and Harvey, who are now having a really beautiful show at Tate. They actually just finished quite a cycle with the really beautiful installation which they took into performance on River Thames. They really encouraged me to start these conversations, and I kind of followed their advice, and I've been really happy to be hosting all these amazing people, artists, thinkers, curators, scientists, and we've been exploring such subjects as plant intelligence, plant wisdom, plant communication, thinking about land ownership and land stewardship and how we can shift these perspectives, thinking about deep time, trying to see what are the practices that we can share between all of us, amongst all of us, that could actually help us to connect with nature in a more to become part of these cycles, and what are different ways that other organizations are working with land with the specific focus of long-term protection. So we have a very rich program of events. A lot of events are already programmed until the end of this year. And I just want to share with you already next event with Rachel Corby, who is a plant whisperer, writer, and rewilding coach. And she will be sharing her practices, her story, and specifically practice of connecting with the plant spirit. So registration is already open, and you can find link here. So I share with you on the chat, so you have it, and you can already sign up. And finally, today, my greatest pleasure is to introduce you to artists. So I think Natalia is still on her way here, but I would like to already introduce both of them, Miki Yui and Natalia Favaro, two amazing artists. I met Miki in London, in Goldsmith. I think, was it Goldsmith or was it?
I think it was Goldsmith.
Goldsmith, yes. And it was actually a specific event where artists came to share their practices from Labverde art residency. Yes. And that's how we met. And I was really inspired, first of all, by her work. I was really inspired by Labverde residency in Brazil. I think for me, it's a benchmark project and benchmark residency. And yeah, since then we've kept in touch, and we thought how we can join dots and can share experiences and talk about each other's work. And so I'm using this opportunity of Eternal Forest Conversations to actually share Miki's and Natalia's work. So Miki is an artist, composer, musician based in Düsseldorf in Germany since '94. She's originally from Japan. She's multidisciplinary artist crossing the boundary of music, performance, drawing, and installation. And I'm going to share with you her website so you can have a look at her work. And I will say also about Natalia, who is right now based in Sao Paulo, and I'm looking forward to visiting one day. She's an architect, artist, and ceramicist. These fields kind of interplay various roles in her research and studies and her art. She uses clay, drawings, photography, and video, and she is a huge part of that collaboration. So I'm going to share her website in turn. All right, and without any further ado, I'm going to pass to Miki to take stage. To introduce briefly the project. There will be a presentation after the video, after we watch the film. Hopefully Natalia will join us by that time. Also, maybe there is a reason why we're having delay today. So over to you, Miki.
Thank you. Thank you, Evgenia. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And I'm very pleased and very happy to have the opportunity to share our film on this portal, Eternal Forest. Well, some of Labverde participant is also here. I'm very happy about this then. Yeah, I and Natalia met in Labverde residency, which is based in Manaus in Brazil. And it's a special residency to learn from scientists from field work for 10 days, very intense 10 days in Manaus, where we had a lot of lecture from the scientists in different disciplines, and we went on the boat and we went through the flooded forest, which is very unique about this rainforest in Amazon. And there, we didn't still know that we would make film about Amazon forest, but eventually I and Natalia had a good feeling and also wanted to interview people, and slowly, step by step, our film emerged. And thanks to the help support of the Goethe Institute in Sao Paulo, we could realize the film, and eventually our film became a project. Later, I will talk about this project as well. And it's very pity that Natalia cannot be here right now because she's been stuck in Sao Paulo in a vaccination center, and I hope she can join very, very soon. So in the meantime, we could maybe start the film, and then afterwards we can, I will present the work, and then we will do the question.
Água. E o que seria do mundo se não fosse a água? A vida surgiu na água. Espirulina. Surgiu, começou a liberar o oxigênio para a atmosfera do que hoje nós estamos destruindo, né? Aqui bilhões de anos começou.
What we know and what is easy to see is that every tree which is cut down in the rainforest and burned is increasing the amount of carbon dioxide we have in the atmosphere, and this is heating up the climate. And this is a very important point to think about when we look at climate change, and we see the Amazon basin is a storage of incredible amounts of carbon. We have to protect the trees.
Sistemas de vida amazônicos enxerga muito mais a riqueza, né? A abundância, a tranquilidade de se viver próximo do rio, de se colher um fruto que só dá em uma determinada estação do ano, e o quanto que isso é sagrado, né? Esperar todos esses regimes de subida e descida dos rios. Então, o quanto que esses conhecimentos sobre a terra, sobre esses modos de vida camponeses, eles são muito importantes para a manutenção, por exemplo, da floresta. E se não tem ninguém morando na floresta, protegendo a floresta de fato lá, quem vai garantir que esses recursos vão permanecer lá?
Seeing the Amazon as a complete ecosystem, it's amazing to be there and to feel how the interaction between the forest and the atmosphere takes place. And every day and every night you feel the high humidity, the quite high temperatures, and you see that all the system, the animals, the plants, are interacting together with the atmosphere.
Quer ver Deus? Pô, que coisa mais simples. Olha, tudo isso. Respira. Olha ele entrando em tudo. Ele é H2O. Ele é essa aqui, ó. Água. E toda forma de vida que vive. É você. É eu. Ele não tem uma fisionomia como o homem imagina, não. Ele está em todas as caras, de trás de todos os olhos. De todo o verde, de todo o ar, de toda a água, de todo o universo, de toda...
This film link for 12 hours. So for those who came late, who couldn't watch until end or watch again, please welcome to watch this again.
So
I think it's in the chat.
yes, and I would like just to say a couple of words for all of you who are present here. So I know that Miki and Natalia are always happy to show this film in different places. They just had another, I believe, physical screening before that one a week ago. So, and of course, if you have any ideas where this film should be shown to what audiences, please get in touch with them. The film is available for screenings. Above that, if you feel that you would like to support this particular screening and the artists, you can do that through, for now, I'm just giving you my PayPal account that I'm usually using for Eternal Forest, like ongoing fundraising. So whatever I receive from that particular screening, I will just pass on to Natalia and Miki. And thank you so much for all of you who have contributed with donation tickets, of course. So lots of gratitude towards this. And yeah.
Thank you. Well, I started talking about this Labverde, where I and Natalia met. This is a special artist in residence based in Manaus, working or collaborating with IMPA, which is National Institute of Amazonian Research. And there are different scientists there who gave us lectures about forest, about ecology of forest, about relation to the climate and forest, or yes, this is one of the tower we went up to see how the cloud emerges from the forest, which we could see, where we could see directly how the climate is directly connected with forest itself. In the Amazon, you feel really that the trees are breathing and sweating, and this is the regulator of the climate. This is really direct experience what we had. Here you see a scientist who's showing us how to examine the tree ring to examine the climate change in tens of years and hundreds of years. And the next slide is the Stefan Wolf. He's a German scientist working in the Max Planck Institute. And he explained us on this tower how the clouds are building from the forest and how this relates to the climate in Brazil, in Amazonian region, and also in São Paulo and other region in Brazil. Here you see another protagonist from the film. She's Renata, and she brought us a lot of edible plants and medicines from the forest, and we could really taste them. It's amazing. It's so beautiful colors and so tasty. You see also Warren in the picture, and that's how we met Renata. And later Natalia met her again to do the interview. These are the edible plants and nuts from the forest. And yeah, actually one can live from the forest without buying anything. It's so abundant nature where all the living condition is already there. It's a perfect place. And we also went outside of this reserve where the IMPA Research Institute was, and went on a boat to visit Igapo, which is flooded forest. And especially uniqueness about the Amazon forest is that the forest is regulated by the river, which means there is rainy season, which the river is flooded, and there is dry season where the ground is visible. So in the rainy season, people move around by boat, and dry season, people can walk on the ground. And this is the river itself. It's like a street where people can move around most efficiently, fast, and also ecologically. So this is very unique thing about the Amazon forest.
And here we can see some houses of these people that live near the river. They are called ribeirinhos. That's ribeira, small ribeirinhos. So this house is called palafitas. So it's made of these long pillars of wood, and it's also because to have this floating of the water, as Miki said. And there's the other one that's called floating houses, or flutuantes in Portuguese, and it's they don't have any structure underneath, so it can float according to the water. So just to bring back a little bit the people we met and we interviewed in the Amazon, Renatinha, I interviewed her after the Labverde. I stayed there for a few days more, and we have a really nice chat. And I could talk to her 2 hours before I get the plane, so it was very special. And as she said, she's trying to bring back the knowledge of the forest to the city, because there's a lot of people in the Amazon rainforest, also ribeirinhos. Their diet are very based on industrialized food. So she's trying to show them that the beauty, and it's much more healthy to have what you have close to you, that's the forest. So here we put a little map just for you to understand how far it's everything in Brazil. So here on the right, you can see South America, and in gray area is Brazil, and the black line here is Amazon rainforest. It means it's more or less 60% of our territory. Of course, it has been shrinking because of deforestation and etc., but it's considered still the Amazon rainforest. And here it's São Paulo, where I live, and here's Manaus, where we met and where Labverde is. And here I put a map for you to understand the two parts of the film. One was in Manaus at the Labverde with the science and Renatinha, and then the other part was in Alter do Chão. It's another state, but it's still Amazon rainforest. It's called Alter do Chão. It's where Inar lives, and Seu Dito, that's the guy who works with rubber trees. And here's the Pacific Ocean. Sorry, the Atlantic Ocean on the right. so you can have this trip by boat. It's very nice. It's 2 days, and from here to here it's 2 or 3 days, more or less. So here's a picture of, as I stayed there for around 4 days, I could like live a little bit with Seudito. And this is a picture that shows he is really building this house, and it's in front of the beach, if you can see here. And he has a plan. He worked with the community. He helped them to build the houses, but this specifically, he was building for people that could come and rent and stay a little bit in the community, people from outside. And this is Inar, our poet, and I met him in 2015 when I was in Amazon rainforest for the first time, and through a friend of a friend that I stay in a house. And as soon as I met him, I had this feeling that I would like to make a film out of him, or like to record all his stories, but I couldn't make it by the time. So when we met in Labverde, I planned to go back to Alter do Chão and try to find him, because I didn't know if he was still there. So fortunately he was, and we could have this 4-day trip on his boat. Yeah, and it was very special. And he said that he knew I was coming back.
So after Natalia was traveling and interviewing people, in the same time, in the meanwhile, I had a opportunity to talk with Stefan Wolf, the scientist, to interview him in Düsseldorf in Germany. And then we had all material, and as we examined the material, pretty much we were sure what this film should be. And we started editing in Sao Paulo. Natalia was editor, and we are chatting over online. And then I made music in Düsseldorf, and film was done in 2 months, editing. And this was supported by Goethe Institute. The goal was to show this film in exhibition for Alexander von Humboldt. It was 2019, the 250th birthday of Alexander von Humboldt, who is quite important scientist at that time, who discovered many things in Latin America, which is also controversial. So we were invited to this exhibition, and we decided we would like to not only show the film, but create a space of sharing, sharing the knowledge about ecology, and also just sharing the feeling we have everywhere in the world. People have anxiety about climate change. So we wanted to create a special space. So we found a couple who works with permaculture called Paramo Permaculture, and they did a 1-day workshop, one afternoon, used a special workshop to understand permaculture in cards. And this is these cards. And these cards represent different elements in nature and also in our daily life. And this card has two sides of what this element gives and what this element needs. So combining these cards, the group of people try to create a sustainable cycle, how to combine this giving and taking. It was 5 or 6 groups, and it was amazing to see how different cycles, sustainable cycles are possible. And Natalia also made a very beautiful clay pot, handmade, and all the participants got one pot to plant a very small tree, and they could take it home. So this experience for us was really beautiful and it's like very natural feeling. The film is introduction to think and to feel about ecology, And combining with the workshop, we could meet local experts, and we could connect this program in Brazil, first of all, but also global program, and also local knowledge of ecology. So we decided after this exhibition to make a portal for our project, Flux project. And we made a website where you can see our activities, mainly in Europe and also in Brazil, and also know about the local experts and their activities.
Oh. So we continued the project, and it has been screened in many cities in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, in the north of Brazil as well, even without even if we don't, even if we cannot combine a workshop, there are many festivals that are open to present our video and etc. So after that, in 2019, I went back to the Amazon with another group of scientists from INPA as well. And the focus was more about deforestation, and also like more technical research about water in the trunks and in the flower, in the leaves, and how they produce, and photosynthesis, and very high-tech equipments to detect all this frequency of this flow inside of the trunk and the leaves. But my research focused more on deforestation, and here bring a little bit of history in Brazil, that we have what the scientists this time said, that the main cause of deforestation is if you have access to the forest, and it is mainly through highways. So in 72, there was the construction of this highway in Brazil that connects from east to west. It's called Trans-Amazonian Highway, or BR-230. And the results or the effects of the construction of this highway, it's something like that. And you can see in Google Earth. So here you can see the main road. And from this main road, it starts to open small ones, and it starts to open and cuts all the territory in different shapes. So I was really intrigued by this, and also because when we was in Labverde, there was a discussion about another road that's called BR 319 that connects from north to south. So it's going to be like this, in like a cross in the middle of the Amazon rainforest, and it's a road that exists, but it's very bad condition, and they want to rebuild it. So all the scientists were saying that if they rebuild it, it's going to be as catastrophic as this one. So I have been focusing my work on some themes about ecology. Before that, just for you to know more or less the size of this road and all the access to the forest, that if it's open would allow people to get in the forest. It's comparable to the size of Germany together. And here's the BR 319.
Germany and Holland together.
Yeah, what did I say?
Germany together.
Yeah. Okay, Germany and Holland, sorry. So I was really intrigued by these shapes and forms and emptiness in the territory, and I have been researching more focuses on this and more terms related to ecology, because ecology is a scientific area that considers the space as an important subject to understand the ecosystems. So when you look in Google Earth, you can see these two types of change in the territory, in the land. That's one. Here you can see like a huge area of forest and small parts deforested. And here on the right, you can see the opposite, where you have a huge area deforested and one part there remained forest intact. And what I have been researching is this effect that's called edge effect. That's when you have just this part of the forest in contact with no forest at all this edge starts to have much more difficult condition. I mean, much more sun, much more wind, much more high temperatures. So it starts to die slowly, and so it means that this forest starts to shrink a little bit. And also, what I learned recently, it's like the distance between this fragment and another fragment. So if it's too far, the birds cannot fly because they feel insecure. So it means that this ecosystem, it starts to get more limited in years. So I have been going on this subject and making some drawings and monotypes and ceramics as well. And just to finish, I got some data for you to know. I think like the Amazon rainforest is in our daily newspapers. I'm not quite sure how it's in other parts of the world, but the government is really destroying the forest to financial profit. And I got to know that in the last 2 years, it means 2019 and 20, the deforestation grew as it hasn't been growing in the last 10 years. And of course, this is because of our actual president, Bolsonaro. So it means that it's raised 34% compared to 2018 when he started the government. So, it's a very debatable issue, like in many layers, like indigenous layers and climate change layers, profit layers, so, and also food, because it's mainly to for cows, or I forgot the name in English.
Plant the soybean to feed the cows for
Also,
beef, producing
yeah.
beef, and also the trees. Natalia shared me one link for the film from Brazil that many cutted trees or even the land itself, the forest itself, which are sold, are not documented and licensed. So you cannot really detect from where the trees are coming from. And these trees eventually very cheaply sold and become a product of cheap furniture or however. And we in the West, or we in Europe, or I guess also in China, we are consuming in a huge amount of these cheap products that is exploited from the forest, and also exploited from the indigenous people and also people who's living in the forest. So of course, we know all this problem, and our aim is, of course, to bring this awareness, but at the same time to get together or to share the feeling about this very problematic human condition and natural conditions, and to make a place to discuss and exchange, because each of us look at the weather and or being a bit lost in this huge problem. And I think we can only get together and share and take a courage to take very small steps, but steps forward. That's what we wish. And I have the feeling through, or also I think Natalia also shares the feeling that through this project, we had a very strong feeling that if you have instinct to do certain project and things start to get together, this can go in the right direction, and it can go by somehow natural meetings, and somehow opportunities will come. And we felt very encouraged by doing this project. because we didn't aim to make film. We are not filmmakers, and Natalia lives in Sao Paulo. I live in Germany, so far away. But still this project is going on, and we're meeting wonderful people. And I think Evgenia also can agree. She's been doing her project, and somehow we also met. And I think there is some power in this, making small steps and meeting people and get together can change small things, but it goes step forward. And I hope to discuss among us, meeting together on this Zoom, and it's a very nice opportunity to exchange.
Yeah, exactly. I just would like to thank you very much for being here and listening and watching the film. So also, if you want to ask or any comment, it would be nice to hear and to share.
Yes, I think we can move on to the Q&A.
Yes, let's do that. Well, first of all, I would love to express huge gratitude for sharing the film, but also your really beautiful presentation, which is beautiful, but it's also quite painful. I agree with some of you who expressed it on the chat. To see, to me personally, I'll just get started and then I'll pass on to whoever wants to ask a question. Perhaps I'll ask quickly. First question. Yes, for me, it was actually like looking back in time, both in the beautiful sense, because you see in the film, you see the abundance, the richness, that lady, that picture, that image when you showed where you have the table full of food and everything is from the forest, and it's like a forest better than any supermarket. And what really got to me is like, that's how we lived everywhere in the world, and that's what we lost everywhere else in the world, apart from these few places where you can still have all your livelihood, everything from the forest. But also looking at how the road crosses. For me, the roads are really, I really feel it viscerally. It's very painful. So every time I am on the road, I feel it cuts through the forest. It cuts through any ancient forest that was here before. And I keep questioning myself, okay, we've built those roads. Well, how do we now start reconnecting the dots here in the Western world, where the rate of deforestation and rate already of desertification is upon us, to the extent that we are losing everything. It's even the ground, the earth, the soil becomes non-productive. So, but when I see these roads, I can see where it's going so clearly, because we have all the examples that we live with. These examples, they're all around us. To me, this road looks like there will be a city there one day, so clearly, because you've got a road, you've got access. So I wanted to ask both of you, how do you see we can stop it, reverse it, but also on top of that, in the West, in Europe and in other places where it's so urbanized, how can we start rejoining the natural flow so we can start re-emerging those forests? Because they haven't gone anywhere. They just kind of, to me, they just disappeared temporarily. So it's question to both of you.
Natalia, you want to start?
Yeah, I was thinking that, like in Amazon, it would be much cheaper to travel by boat. So that's why people travel much more by boat in Amazon, but there are much more rivers than roads. So, but I don't know, I feel myself very small to put this into words or in change, or how to force it. You know, it's a very difficult issue actually to access the discussion, I mean. But I'm agree with you that the forest is there, and you said in a beautiful way that the forest is there, and there's a road, but the forest exists, and I don't know if I'm being so precise. Miki, maybe you can continue.
Well, from the European perspective, this is long gone, we know, but still there are some new method or new approach to regain or just plant trees, you know. Maybe if we say gain the forest or bring back the forest, maybe it's too big, but maybe we can start planting small plants and maybe a tree if you have a space. And there are also for example, there is instead of Google search, there's Ecosia. It's a search engine from Munich where you can search and each search will plant tree. You think like, oh my God, what is this? But it's really working. You can follow also on YouTube what they are doing, and step by step there are different ways to regain the nature. And for example, I invited for the screening wild bee expert in Düsseldorf. She's a graphic designer, but she started to, she realized that there are many wild bees dying. So she started to work on the theme, and she made a beautiful photo book, and she's working on this, bring back the awareness about wild bees. And she said, if you gather all the private gardens in Europe, it's almost the size of national park. So if you bring your gardens or even balcony, if you have flower pot, make it ecological. Think about bees. You plant something which bees can take advantage from, then it's already changing something. So, well, we can't do so big thing at once, but do in a collective force, we can do maybe bigger than what we think.
Thank you. Who would like to ask a question? Yes, Lauren, please.
Yay! I was so pleased to see the video and to see the images again. I think it's brilliant to have created this film, and to create a space to speak about all of that, because it's so hard to find those moments where you can bring the debate and where you can actually engage people with the issues, because there is like so many things happening all the time. And I think when you have such a 20 minutes where you can really like get into it, understand, have the time, and it's very like, I found it very like sensible, and it was I was very, very happy to see that. So thank you very much, both of you. I don't really have a question. I think it's just sharing I heard in the video that you the speakers that you had talk about this question of caring, and I think it's it like, how do we care differently about what's around us, and how do we connect differently? And I think it's kind of one of the first steps that you were talking about, Miki, to make is like, how do we just connect differently to the environment, to find more reasons to stop destroying it. So it was not really a question, but I just wanted to thank you and said that I really enjoyed the movie. And I hope maybe we can plan a session with my MA, because I'm sure many people in my MA would be happy to see the movie. So
great.
Would be nice.
Yes. Lorraine made also very beautiful, it's ongoing project, what she's doing with dancers. Maybe you can share your project on the chat so people can click. We were together in Amazon 2018 with Lorraine and Natalia and many others. And we're still following up each of the artists' project and exchanging. So it's kind of a united force in a small family. And I think it's about empathy. And because we are artists, we can work on this empathy level. And of course, we are kind of political, but for us, it's more important to have the feeling about what we are talking about. And that was, for me at least, was a big impact when I went to Amazon, because I was so frustrated by watching the news and not having the real feeling of what's going on. It's not only about Amazon, it's also about war or anything in the world. But Amazon, fortunately, I thought I can go there, and I heard about this Labverde, and I decided to go. And I was really, it was kind of life-changing a moment to be inside of Amazon forest and really understand that ecology is actually talking about ourselves, not only about the nature of outside of ourselves, but its whole thing is like ourselves. And if you cut the trees, it's like cutting your lungs or cutting your blood, or I don't know. It's really, I felt this is like part of us. So that's why we can live. And without forest, we wouldn't be able to live. So maybe this is the most impact I got and most urgent feeling to gain more empathy about also among humans and also together with trees and other beings.
And I think that people that live nearby the river, they are very special. They are really connected to the forest in a way that we that live in the city, we don't know. So there's a knowledge in this that it like, for example, people in this last visit to the Amazon, there was one guy that in Brazil is popular called mateiro. So mateiro is who like open the road by hand, not a road, but open space in this in the to enter in the forest. So he has a knowledge that none of the science could go in the forest alone, you know, even if they study a lot, like this material knows how it works, and he can listen if there is anything coming or going, if it's gonna rain. So I think it's to get closer to this kind of knowledge, you know.
Yeah, also. Natalia showed me a film, and in the film it was a line. It said indigenous people are most advanced culture, which we in the West think most primitive culture, because these indigenous people knows much more than the scientist, and indigenous people knows how to sustain, how to make the sustainable life together with nature. So if the nature would or if some catastrophe would happen, that the only people who can survive could be indigenous people. And we are killing this indigenous knowledge. So this is really dangerous point in our culture, so to say. Any other questions?
Thank you so much. I think Daniela raised hand.
Blessings and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really moved by the film. I'm really moved by the space that you allowed, the speaking of the people, not as experts and not with titles, but real people really living. Inar, the poet, what a profound gift that man is, and his embodied way of living as a member of God, water's world. Again, I speak to the space that you allowed in the film with images and sound to let us as the viewers to feel and breathe and integrate what you're offering. So there was lots of space for the forest to make itself heard in those places. So I really acknowledge that, you know, sometimes when we're not a professional filmmaker, we actually have a great offering because it's more raw and more direct from our hearts and eyes and hands to the film itself. I also really, really appreciated the food element and that beautiful woman that you wove in, and the table, the banquet of life in its green and its taste. Something landed for me personally from that connection that I think will continue to reverberate. And then lastly, the going then to the bird's eye view, seeing the roads. And as some of you know, I live in British Columbia, Canada. And so our sacred forests, including Fairy Creek, are under immediate threat. And the blockades that are happening are blocking the roads. It's blocking the access. There's no part of me that knows how or what to do. More and more as I come out with my own particular relations with water and tree elders, that there's no fixing of the problem that we can do. Honestly, I honestly don't feel that we have a single answer. Planting a tree is not restoring an ecosystem. We haven't a clue how to do that. And so more and more, I just keep getting this message. It's like, pull the frig out, like just get out and let Mother Earth and Mother Ocean and their kin restore themselves. Step back and address, as humans, how do we live as ecological species, and how can we pay attention to that space while leaving them to do what they know how to do best and have been perfecting for millions of years. But I just really, really thank you both for following what your call was and answering it to bring forth this beautiful offering. And I do have some places that I think that I would like to connect you and the film with, so that you can bring this jewel that has taste and flavor and ears and fingertips to more people. So thank you.
Thank you, Daniela.
Thank you very much. I got very touched by your words.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, it's very touching. Thank you.
Daniela, thank you so much. I love the way you put it all together and expressed for all of us, I think.
Yeah.
Claudio, would you like to speak? Ask your question?
Time.
We would love to hear you if you're ready.
Just a moment. I think you are hearing me now.
Yes, we can hear you.
But my camera switched off. I'm sorry. I promise to be short. I only have just one question, because it's one of my fears about Amazonia. As far as I know, the Transamazônica was built for logging and to get to make a dairy business and a meat business. I only would like to ask you, Miki and Natalia, if you have seen any signs of what scares me. That is the richness that is in the soil of Amazonia. Amazonia is rich in minerals as far as you maybe can imagine, and they never talk about it. Bolsonaro never talked about it. Only said that he wants to replant Amazonia. And I ask you, have you seen any signs of mining, of people or people trying to hide the mining business? And that's all.
You say like the mines for gold and for other stuff, other minerals?
Yes, lots of minerals. The Amazonia, you can't imagine. It's the richness. How can you say, contrary of above?
Yeah. There is one artist that's friend of us. She was also in Labverde, that she went back to the Amazon after Labverde to make a research on these garimpeiros. That's how they called.
Yes.
Garimpo. So like to interview them, to visit the place they live, how it works, how it's made it, and yeah, maybe I can put you in contact. There's a video that she made about this. So, but it's not really hard. I mean, there's another film that was more a serious type. That was the construction of a mineradora, né? How do you say? And how it was illegal. I can show you also. But I mean, extracting, the way people extract is illegal. I mean, the garimpeiros, their work is illegal.
I was forgetting there is a big hole in Brazil where people bring the gold in their bags, walking through the muddy walls of the big
Serra
mine.
Pelada, you mean?
Yes.
The pictures of.
Yes, but about Amazonia, it's another question. I think it's because they are shut. You don't say anything about it.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of layers involved on this. For example, there are many people profiting from this. So there's the garimpeiro, that's the one who is really extracting the gold over there. And there's the other one who is making the transport, and there's the other one who is selling it. So all this is like a mafia, you know, they're all connected.
Oh, hey, yeah. For me this is sugar. Sorry.
Yeah. So that's why it's good for you to see this Renata's work. So because she's the one who really told me how it works, because she was there with them.
If you can give me a link.
Yeah, I can. Maybe it's better if you send me your, because I don't have the link now.
Okay, I will put it on the chat. Thank you.
You can send me your email, and then I ask.
Or maybe you can send the link to Renata Padovan's website.
Okay.
Because she's a really interesting artist, also one of our Labverde family. And she had done a lot of works on Amazon forest and also relating hydrogenic dam, electric dam.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Claudio, thank you so much for this question, for raising this. I'd like to ask if anybody else wants to say something who is here now, and maybe because we started a little bit later today, maybe it will be last comment, a question, and then we do a bit of closing, and we stay in touch, of course. So Renata Padovan, so now this is, Natalia just posted the link, so you could copy link.
Okay.
Or you could just save the chat. So does anybody have anything else they would like to share?
Do we shared already our Flux project?
Let's share the site as well, so people can access it. I shared your personal websites. Yes, great. Thank you, Natalia. So no more comments or questions.
So we have one small trailer on this website. So if you want to share with friends, you can link this YouTube trailer and then contact us for film screening. And as I said, I will open this whole film link for 12 hours so people can watch again and maybe share with friends, but not share everywhere. Please just keep it in a very small circle. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Miki. Thank you, Natalia. And I'm really looking forward to hearing more about the work that you keep developing. I hope to see new collaborations from both of you together, also from each of you, your personal work, of course. And yeah, what can I say? It was really enjoyable, really beautiful conversation. I'm really grateful for everybody who could join today. And this talk will be available online, of course. And you could share it with friends and as many people as you want. Of course, many people should see that. And we are looking forward to new encounters. There will be a new event with Rachel Corby on 12th of August, which is an event that is more focusing on specific practices of deep listening to spirits of plants, vision quests, and a whole set of journeys that people could do, actually, who want to connect deeper with their ecologies, with their natures, forests, environments, and so on. So I look forward to welcoming you at this event on the 12th. And yeah, look forward to connecting personally as well. Thank you so much for all the new people who joined today. And I'm really grateful that you stayed regardless the technical difficulties.
Thank you very much for coming, for the words and for the questions you made. Thank you.
Thank you. It was very touching. Very happy to meet you all. Thank you, Evgenia, for inviting us.
Thank you. Look forward to new conversations.
Yes.
Yeah. Hope
And
so.
all the best for all of us. Take care.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank
Until
you.
very soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.